Hello one, hello all, welcome to this June edition of Best Movie Year Ever, 1999, which of course means we'll be discussing films from June of 1999. As we brought up briefly earlier in the series, real life events definitely dictated some of the things that were surrounding film itself, and definitely dictated quite a bit about the movie-going experience, at least for youngsters, teens, young adults. Not that it directly correlates to the tragedy in April of '99 in Columbine, but some strict laws were put in place that made it mandatory that anybody going to see a rated R film must be accompanied by someone 18 years or older. I do remember this personally because June was, of course, the first month that I was able to work more than, I don't know, you're not allowed to work a certain amount of time when you're in school and when you're of a certain age. But in the summertime, it's kind of all bets are off. And I do remember spending a fair bit of time in the movie theater in the summer of '99, and I do remember having to card for everything. And this wasn't a fly-by-night thing. This wasn't something that came and went. This stuck. I remember this going as far into the future as when Scream 3 came out in 2000, checking the IDs of teenagers to make sure that they weren't there to watch a movie that they could just as easily watch at home. There wasn't such restrictions in rental places, anywhere else. I don't know, porn on a billboard. When we fix things, we have a really weird way of doing it. But anyway, I digest. To the films themselves, in early June, the 4th to be exact, the Anthony Hopkins film Instinct was released to not much fanfare or praise critically or much of anything. You must keep in mind that there was heavy layover from films such as The Mummy, Star Wars. Hell, you still had some trickle in from The Matrix. So releasing stuff in early June, I don't know if that was so much to win the box office as it was to sneak something under the radar. I will give you the teaser line for Instinct. Nothing is more savage than civilization. Are you ready to watch this movie or what? I have not seen this movie. I've heard nothing about this movie 22 years after the fact. Even as somebody who worked at the theater, even working at the theater, I was like, nah, I'm all set. I'm just gonna go watch Phantom Menace again. June 8th saw the release of some counter-programming, the sequel to the hit Austin Powers, this one titled Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me. This one featuring Heather Graham in place of Liz Hurley, although Liz Hurley was kind enough to give us a bit of a send-off there in the beginning. And this movie, it's strange how much we talk about comedies and horrors and how much they age, and the best ones seem to maintain, and flavor of the weeks seemed to be just that. I went back and watched some. I did not complete the movie. Yeah, the gags are cute. I remember laughing 20 years ago, but they're not gags that work anymore. Oh, right. The kettle's in the way of his nuts. I get it. Up, melons. Melons in front of the boobs. Yeah, are we still doing this? Cool. Wasting a tracking shot on silly 4-year-old sight gags. Awesome. Austin Powers was from the 60s. He's got horrible teeth. He likes to have sex.
Cool.
Although I'm not that fond of the James Bond franchise. As a matter of fact, I haven't seen about half of it. So I don't have the same relationship with the source material. So take that with a grain of salt. But Austin Powers I always felt was funny. It just doesn't have longevity to me. And that's all I'll really say about that, because if you're interested, by all means, in any film that I'm talking about, if you have interest, by all means, go check it out for yourself. What the fuck do I know? shortly thereafter, and this is a movie that I might be spending some time talking about. June 13th, the release of Eddie Izzard's stand-up special, Dressed to Kill, was released. I'm not sure if it was released to theaters. But I certainly know that when I watched it, it was on HBO. And this is somebody, first of all, who wasn't from this country. That was the first time I think I'd ever watched a comedian for longer than a minute that was not from America. Secondly, it was something that I just completely could not turn away from and felt there is so much more to comedy than George Carlin, Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor. And the thing about Eddie Izzard was his stand-up was not only funny, but you felt like it was a roast against history. A lot of his material was focused on just history, things that happened over the course of time. And of course, it's not completely accurate because he's having fun with it. He's having fun with vocabulary. He's having fun with certain situations. The Plymouth bit is just, it's fucking hysterical. It's something that you hear it and you're like, why did I never say that in school?
They set off from Plymouth and landed in Plymouth. How lucky is that? This is Plymouth. We've just come from Plymouth. We've gone round the circle. Lads, back on the bus.
Amongst so many other things, the absurdity of yeah, you don't have a country because you don't have a flag. Listen, it's not, I wouldn't call it, 5-star comedy, but it's very strong. It's very strong, it's very smart, it's very heady. There's lots of reasons that Robin Williams hooked up with him for a little bit and made him his writing partner, because Eddie Izzard, especially in Dressed to Kill, was just breaking down barriers on so many levels.
We can practice our religion here, we can raise a family. There's nobody here. Excuse me? There's nobody here.
Again, this is the late 90s. So somebody walking out on stage as a male, dressed in full drag, just barely making a deal of it, although he does cover his executive transvestite-ism in his set. But if you notice for a minute, you forget after 5, because the guy's he's just pulling the crowd along and just doing some masterful comedy work.
A land empty of human existence. Who the fuck are these guys? What's all this, please?
That was the last stand-up comedy set that I'd seen before I decided, yeah, you know what, I should probably at least try this. It was like this spark in the middle of the night, like, oh, there can be other elements to what I want to do. I don't have to specifically be a George Carlin cover band. I don't specifically have to be an Eddie Murphy cover band. I can mix and match and adapt different styles and kind of create this potpourri of my own. And it really turned me on. And I'll get to the final piece, which happens later on in the year, but Eddie Izzard's Dressed to Kill was 1,000,000% the thing that triggered something inside me to really think about doing stand-up seriously. Shortly after that, you had Disney doing Disney stuff. Countering that was a film titled Run Lola Run, another film that I haven't seen, but I am certain has a bit of a following. I won't call it a cult following, but for every 5 people I speak to, Run Lola Run is something where I mention I haven't seen it and I get this stink eye. I have no idea what this movie's about. I'm kind of disappointed that I wasn't able to find anybody to talk about this movie. Shows how much of a cult film it really is. Doesn't really get around, apparently. It's on my fuck it, eventually list. Run Lola Run has survived the test of time, certainly more so than something like Austin Powers 2. More than Tarzan, I would say. I have a lot of people who have kids. I've never heard Tarzan brought up. Ever. Ever.
But I want my own ass! I want my own ass!
Next on the list was Big Daddy, which starred Adam Sandler and a pair of twins, which will get much more famous on the Nickelodeon Disney television scene. Although the twins played one boy. He's being Adam Sandler, but it's sort of heartfelt movies. And this is something I did see, released June 25th, and it had a bit of everything for everybody. It had quirky Adam Sandler characters. I don't know, does Steve Buscemi owe him money? Because he seems to always make these bizarre cameos. I do remember being a 19-year-old watching this in the theater, seeing Kristy Swanson for the first time in something less than a shirt. She's not nude. This is an innocent little teenager thinking, oh, underwear, that's not terrible. Which is, by the way, that's the opening shot. I feel awful telling you about the opening shot of a movie, some girl getting dressed who's not nude. But there, just have a little insight into what the fuck my brain was doing. Very heartfelt movie where Sonny, Adam Sandler's character, gets a kid dropped in his lap and he thinks he's led to believe it's his, and takes slowly but surely this immature man starts to take care of this kid. However slapdash and incorrect his methods may be. And it's very sweet. You look at the 90s with Adam Sandler, this is the last gasp. You have something like Happy Gilmore, you have something like Billy Madison, Wedding Singer, Waterboy, and then you have something like this. These are all movies that kind of touch on different elements of what Adam Sandler was when you think of the 90s. You know, goofy, heartfelt, but still kind of goofy, really goofy, but it was never really... Something happened in the 2000s, I guess, is the best way to put it. Big Daddy could be his sweetest film. I'm trying to think if Click would give that a run for its money, but I don't think so. Big Daddy might be the Adam Sandler movie you may want to watch to get the feels. Because Wedding Singer is a little rough around the edges. It's very, very heartfelt, but a little rough at times. The final release weekend of June brought us two blockbusters. Here to help me discuss the one that everybody ended up seeing is a good friend, Patrick from Rhapsody Reviews.
Man, I was way too young when I first watched this film. I did not get the chance to check it out in theaters, obviously, because I would have been around 6 or 7 years old at the time. However, I did get the chance to check it out on DVD when I was around 9 or 10. I remember renting it at our local video store, and I don't even think the guy really knew what it was. I think he just seen a kid wanting to rent an animated film. I didn't even really know what South Park was, because I think the first season was only out when the film actually came out, and I was not allowed to watch it because you could only watch that on the TV.
No! What do you mean, no?
Now, like I said, I was about 9 or 10 years old, but I knew exactly what was going on in this film, from Satan and Saddam Hussein being in a sexual relationship with each other, the kids turning into bad behavior with shitty-ass parenting, and the Canadian farce elements. I laughed my ass off throughout this entire film.
This is not about diplomacy. This is about dignity. This is about respect. This is about realizing that humor is...
It's really a time period film showing how much comedy has changed. because we see a lot of comedies nowadays playing safe, and the humor doesn't really come off as well as it did in the 90s, in early 2000s, when comedies took chances. This film was crude, loud, and unapologetic about it.
Here you go. SUCKMYASS. Forensics.
All the songs in the film are so good and catchy too, as well as being super hilarious.
You don't have to spend your life addicted to smack, homeless on the streets giving handjobs for crack.
I'm still learning about this film today, like the fact that it's Comedy Central's first and only theatrical released feature, and the song Blame Canada was actually nominated for Best Original Song at the Oscars, but ultimately lost to You'll Be In My Heart by Phil Collins.
The Canadians are attacking! Run for your lives!
I think this film stuck with me so much in my adult life and as a kid because when I was younger, I used movies as an escape. Movies are little adventures that you can go on, and you can pick different emotions, whether it be happy in a comedy, scared in a horror, excited in an action adventure, or for some reason if you want to feel sad you can stick in a drama. You can pick whatever you want. All you gotta do is put that disc in the DVD player and go on an hour and 30-minute plus adventure, and South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut was the one I remember going on the most in my younger years.
Off to the movies we shall go, where we learn everything that we know.
I wonder if that speaks to how I am as an adult at all.
Have you ever met my friend Cosmos? She's the biggest bitch in the whole wide world. She's a mean old bitch and she has human hair. She's a bitch.
I want to say thanks to CP for allowing me to be on this series. And remember guys, when talking about movies, be a fan, not a critic. I'm gonna go watch South Park now.
Fucking Canadians, man. Thank you. Thank you, of course. Thank you to Patrick of Rhapsody Reviews. His link will be down below. Please give that young man a boost. He's just started recently. And let's get him to 100. Let's make this video responsible for him getting to 100. Because I said please. Then there was the other movie that came out in June, and that was supposed to be a big deal. It's titled Wild Wild West, and it failed. Will Smith, Salma Hayek, I don't need to go further. If you're just going on sex appeal, that's it. You win. Will Smith, Salma Hayek, where do I sign? Take my money. And then Kevin Kline for comedic sake? I don't know. Will Smith can hold his own comedically. This is just a weird movie that is comedy. Usually comedy makes people laugh. This far less so. And just is notorious for being an absolute disaster. And yeah. If you're a fan of the Nicolas Cage Superman documentary, there's a bit of a nugget in those two that connect the two as far as big beasts that need to be fought off in a non-existent movie and Wild Wild West. I won't let you be spoiled by that. Go do some homework. It'll take like 3 Google clicks, you'll be there. So that does it for this June 1999 edition of Best Movie Year Ever. Again, if you are a YouTuber, if you have access to a camera, very hopefully audio, please hit me up one way or another. Find me somewhere, email, DMs, all of that if you'd like to take part. There's still time. We're officially half of the year through. I would like to have a July 99 video done by July 2021. This camera isn't going to be here forever, so I'm going to try to do whatever I can while this is in my possession. So if you have stuff for August, that would be a big deal for me. I will lay out the August timeline. Time is of the essence because I do have a bunch of submissions that I've just been sitting on. So it would mean a great deal to me, especially if you'd like to take part. Please, by all means, you don't have to do any editing. Just send me the raw footage. I'll take care of the rest. And let's get this series going. Let's see it through. Let's get January through December 1999. If you enjoyed the video, please, you're doing me a favor by clicking the thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy the video, by all means, you go ahead and click that thumbs down, but I would hope you would let me know what it is you don't like about the series or the episode in particular. And if you really enjoy the content and you want to see more other like-minded material, that subscribe button is the way to do it. And if you want to be notified of everything, you click that bell. Again, two-step process, because why would it be easy? Because YouTube. Also, if you'd like to support the channel and get early looks into stuff that gets released or stuff as it gets completed, patrons have very early access to a myriad of things. Sometimes they have exclusive, sometimes they have early access. It all depends. This has been a very weird 18 months, but those who have supported me, I've tried my best to keep them as close to the loop as possible, if not in the loop. That's pretty close. Otherwise, this has been June 1999. In June 2021, I have been CP. You haven't. Hello one, hello all. Welcome to this June edition of 1999 Best Film. Gonna be a long one. When Scream 3 not completely replaces. Although, what?
I said sorry, I tripped up some.
Can you shut the door?
Mm-hmm.
Don't get married.
I heard that.
No, you didn't. And now a car's going by. Fucking cunt. Incorrect his methods may be. And motorcycle.